Good morning. Oh, I am not muted. Sweet. I'm not muted. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of my live stream here on Jeff Bull Tech. I appreciate it. I'm going to switch my audio because I think that right now I'm on my speaker, which is not what I want. Switch over to my headphones, and we'll see if that's better. Anyway, morning. So happy to have you all back on the show. I appreciate it. On these live streams, my biggest focus and what I really want to talk to all of you about is how you can best own your time and how to use it effectively. I am so distracted right now. So I have this whole new setup that I'm working with, and I need to brighten up my camera because it's kind of bothering me just a little bit. There we go. You can see, for any who's just joining the stream for the first time, you can see that my office has probably changed a little bit since the last time you were here. Specifically the most important part is I got a new hat because I go live. Thank you, Luria and Dave over at Live Streaming Pros, because this thing makes me super happy, and it fits. I just started wearing hats again, and it makes me really happy. I don't know why I'm so excited about that idea, but in any case. You'll notice a few updates to my office here and my studio. I am trying to focus heavily on making this my space because I work in here for my real job all the time, and then not real job, my corporate job all the time, as well as for my streaming and other content creation that I do. So I'm in here a lot. I really wanted to make it a personal space, so I'm doing a lot of adjustments to my microphone here. Same camera, although that is getting replaced really soon. I'm super excited. I have a Sony A5100 coming in here pretty soon, but I did also add some lights. So I have a light up here that I think is working a little bit better, especially now that I'm wearing a hat. I think it audio or visual looks better, and I got this really cool WebEx board behind me that I've updated the imagery on, so you can see my website on it now too. Just trying out some new things to make this feel like a little bit more of an interesting look when the videos are going. All of that said, I want to say thank you again for being here. I try to do these live streams every week at about 11 a.m. Pacific time, so I really appreciate anyone who's able to join live or watch afterwards. And today, I didn't do a live stream last week here on my channel. I did one on the Live Streaming Pros YouTube channel, which was a blast. I thank you, Luria, thank you, Tag, and Jennifer, everyone who was on that show with me. That was a blast. I got a really good chance to talk about the LIDA challenge, live every day in April, that we all did earlier this year, and how big of a help it was for all of us. And sort of as we talked about that, a lot of us in the community who have followed up afterwards and stayed close to each other decided we want to do this again because it was such a big help. And that's why, if you noticed on my Facebook page yesterday, and I think on Instagram too, I posted a video about how impactful that was. And it's hard to overstate. And I don't want to take this whole live today to talk about the LIDA challenge, but I will say, if you didn't watch my video on Facebook, please go do that. Or go over to livestreamingpros.com/LIDA, LEDA, and check it out. I'm not trying to advertise them. I really wanted to make a point that that's coming up in a few days. It starts on August 1st. It made a huge difference for me personally, and even wanting to do these live streams. I'd never done live streaming before, so it helped me feel like, as an introvert, I could get a lot of positive motivation out of doing a live stream for people. And I'm enjoying it. So I'm here doing this with you. And to kind of take that to the next step, 2 weeks ago when I did the last live, I talked about goal planning for the second half of 2020 and how important that is. I haven't actually gone through this process for myself yet. My wife and I have been dealing with some personal things, really some medical stuff that she's got. And so our time has been consumed focusing on that heavily. I'm recognizing there's a bit of a hole in my life right now, because I haven't gone through what I'm pointing out on another screen that you can't see yet, which is a goal template I'm going to show you all, or try to show you all here in just a few minutes, that my wife and I created a couple years ago for ourselves. And it was super helpful for us. And the reason I wanted to talk about the next stage of goal planning and the tactics of actually doing this for yourself every day, I wanted to talk about that today with all of you, because it makes such a huge difference and I don't know why my audio sounds so weird in my headphones. It makes such a huge difference to have a process. Now, something you'll hear me say, I've said this in the past and I'll say it many times again in the future. Tools are great. When you're doing something like goal planning, day planning, something to that effect where you need to take ownership of your time or prep, having a tool to do that with is hugely important. It needs to be something that works for you. It needs to be something that fits within your own process that you feel comfortable working with. It shouldn't feel like work, or more importantly, I don't think it shouldn't feel like it shouldn't feel like there's a lot of overhead in using it. It should be something that helps guide what you're already thinking about and put that into a place that you can have some focus on and go look back at every day and say, this is what I want to do. What I will also say about tools is they're also not important. Now, that may sound contradictory, but what I mean by that is the specific tool you pick at any given point in time isn't important. What is important is that at any point in time, at some iteration of the process you're working with, you have a tool that makes sense to you personally. And so it reinforces the idea that at any point in time, change your tools. Do something different. I can tell you for a fact, in the last 3 years, I have gone through 2 different versions of a physical day planner. It's actually in the house right now. I don't have it in front of me, which I should, of a handwritten day planner, which I'm back to using now, called the Panda Planner. I've done my iPad for day planning. I've done sheets of paper, a notebook. I've gone back and forth with a lot of these. Note-taking apps is a whole other world. I've gone through, from task management tools and to note-taking apps, I've gone through. I'm on Apple Notes again, handwriting Apple Notes as opposed to typing them. I've used Notability for handwriting apps or notes. I've used other note-taking apps like Evernote, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. The fact that you have a tool that works for you at any given point in time is what is important. And it also, I want you to feel like you have the permission for yourself to change that tool whenever it makes sense. If the tool doesn't feel comfortable anymore, it's not working, go find a different tool. That should never be the thing that is holding you back from getting your plans done or setting your goals. And so what I want to show you today and talk through today is, after talking through the fact and how important it is to do goals 2 weeks ago, so go check out my video from 2 weeks ago, I want to talk a lot about today how to take what I discussed with it's important to do goals on a 6-month basis, no less than 3 months. Go check those details out before. But, I want to take that and turn it into something you can physically go write out. Now, I'm going to try to share my screen with you in just a minute, and we'll see if this presentation actually works. I don't know if it's going to, but yes, it did. Fantastic. I am still learning how to frame these things on my screen, but let's see if that crop to fill works. I don't know if it does. In any case, let me just move this around so you can see all of these things really well, and I'll close the background image. And anybody watching who has some advice for me on how to do this better, I will totally take that. So what I want to spend the bulk of today talking about with all of you is, how do you actually write out your goals? Because it's great to hear someone like me or anyone else say, do goals, write your goals, and they should be meaningful. That's fantastic. I can tell you that all day long. I'm sure you've heard that many, many times from many people over your lifetime, and you're still sitting back going, yeah, but what the hell do I actually do? I don't know how to make that happen and make it meaningful for myself so I can actually follow them. Because knowing that you should have goals and you should write them is something that your boss probably has told you, you've told yourself. Have you ever actually done them? So if you're watching live, I'd love a comment from you. Let me know. At any time in your past, from any tool or process some person has told you to do for setting goals for yourself, have you ever actually really done them, followed up on them, checked back in, and completed them in any way, shape, or form? Put those in the comments. I'd love to hear from you how that's worked out or not worked out. I would bet, and I don't mean to be negative, but I would bet that most likely you've struggled with writing those goals out before and actually following up on them. My hope today is that I want to give you a template that I have used successfully. My wife and I have both used this, and it's worked out really well for us. You need to take this and make this your own, but I'll give you some guidance on how we went about this and why that process worked so well. So to start off, what you're seeing on the screen here is, it's not very pretty. I'll make a prettier version that I can share with you if you want this template yourself. What you're seeing is several key pieces I want to call out. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner from your perspective with the goal. You have to write down a goal. You need to know what your goal actually is. What's interesting about writing out your goal, though, and this is why I always recommend doing your goals with a partner, whether it's your spouse or a good friend, a colleague, someone that you can trust that is also going to, that doesn't have really any skin in the game to give or any vested interest in whatever goal you pick. My recommendation is to work with somebody that you trust to give you just unadulterated feedback. Like, is that really what you think? Or ask challenging questions. So an example for you. When my wife and I did these originally, our first stab at writing goals, we sat down and had coffee. We were down in La Jolla. We took a weekend away from NorCal, dropped off our son with my parents in Long Beach. We got a hotel in La Jolla, and I know that's not applicable right now, and that's not for everybody. This is just what we did. And we spent a day in a hotel room, and we went to coffee in the morning, and we started writing our goals down. And as we went through the process of writing down our goals, we would read off our goals to our partner. She read them to me, I read them to her. And we started asking challenging questions of each other about, like, is that your goal? So one of my first ones was, I want to lose 20 pounds. At the time, I was feeling achy and all this, and I had a goal of being healthy. What I said to her, though, is I want to lose 20 pounds. And she just kept challenging me. She goes, do you actually want to lose 20 pounds? Like, is that your goal? And I had to be honest with myself. It really wasn't. The story behind that particular goal was 2 days before. And I've told this to people in the past. 2 days before, I was playing with my son, who was 2.5 at the time. And I think I was around 38 years old. And I went to play with him on the floor. He was tickling him. We're having a good time. And I bent over and my back popped and my knees popped. And I'm like, I was achy. And I stood up and I'm like, what the heck? I'm not even 40 years old and my body is already aching. I'm like, I don't want to be in the mid 40s or 50s trying to play with my son and have a good time with him and be achy all over. So my wife said, that's your goal. The losing weight is just something that could come out of that. And she was right. I didn't want to lose weight. What I wanted to do was just feel good. I literally wanted to feel good. So what I wrote down as my goal is I want to feel good. That was it. That was the goal I was targeting. That's the exercise I want you all to think about as you're going through this, asking yourself and working with a partner, somebody you trust, whoever that is, so they can ask you those questions, like to kind of keep asking why. What is it you actually want? Things like, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's a milestone. In my opinion, that's a milestone. It's a good milestone if that's all on the path to your goal. You need to ask yourself the question. You need someone to help you ask those questions. What is it you actually want? In my case, it was really to feel healthy. I did end up losing 20 pounds over the course of about 1.5 years to 1.75 years. It took a long time with a lot of habitual changes I had to make over a very long period of time. There was no diet. There was no special program. It took a lot of life changes and over a long period of time to get there. I feel better as a result. I actually feel good. I accomplished that goal. So that's number one, writing out your goal, having someone help you with that so you can really get to the root of what it is you actually want. Second thing, next to the knowing the goal, it is clearly, in my opinion, the most important piece of this entire process. The rest of it makes no difference at all. If you don't know why you want to accomplish that goal, I'll say that again. If you don't know why, huge capital Y, if you don't know why you want to accomplish a goal, you will never have a hope of getting there. Period. Full stop. You need to know why something is important to you. My recommendation, after you write out these goals, after you do, pick a goal. And as I've said before, try to focus on 2 goals in a 6-month period. 3 is a stretch, but you can do it. And you may tell yourself or tell me, Jeff, I can do more than 3. That's fine. If you think you can and you believe in it, go do that. I just always recommend keeping it to 2, mostly because, as I've discussed before, having goals and following them is hard. Most of us don't do it effectively, let alone have a really good process that we check back in. So why would we compound that problem by having more and more goals that we're still not going to check in on? I like to keep it to 2 every 6 months because then you have a really strong possibility of hitting those goals and keeping up on it and staying accountable to yourself. So number 2, the important thing here is if you don't know why you want this, how would the hell would you ever think you're going to get there? If you don't know why it's important to you, how are you going to get there? So you need to sit down and really think hard. Why is it that I want that? I just told you my story of why I wanted to feel better. That was my why. So I wrote this out. My wife and I did these on big poster boards. Do it digitally. Do it by handwritten on a journal. It doesn't matter. We did it on poster boards so we could hang them up on a wall and look at them from a distance in the hotel room and talk about it. That worked really well for us. That may not work well for you. It doesn't matter. Again, the tool matters to help the process, but it doesn't matter because whatever makes sense for you at that time is what you should use. Write out your why. Write out that story that you told yourself about what's so important about this to you. But you don't move past why until you have that done. The rest of this doesn't matter unless you know why you want something. From there, you can start to lay out tasks. And I found that if you try to focus on writing, well, here's my milestone and the task to meet the milestone, again, you're going to get stuck in this I think the term I've heard a lot is circling the drain. I don't really like that, but I think it's kind of accurate here. You just circle the drain of I'm trying to get down that drain. I'm trying to get that water to go down the drain, but it's just sitting there spinning and spinning and spinning. Don't stress about what things are milestones and what things are tasks. What I want you to focus on is writing out all these ideas in your head of how you could accomplish that goal. Just write them in a big, big list. What I noticed naturally as I was doing that is as you read it over and say it to somebody out loud, it's relatively easy to start seeing themes or groups of tasks that seem to go together. And as you kind of just take a highlighter and circle 2 or 3 together or highlight, well, this one kind of matches this one. So here's 3 highlighter colors, yellow, pink, and blue or something. And just start highlighting tasks that seem to be similar to each other. The thing to know, in my opinion, about laying out your goals is the things like tasks, milestones, and your goal. The goal is an outcome. The important part of all of this is the process, or more accurately, it's the journey to get to that goal. The goal itself is just what happened. It's just the description of what happened when you completed all the tasks and milestones. You accomplished this goal. Focusing on that goal or focusing on that outcome, however you want to think about it for yourself, focusing on that goal is not going to get you there. Focusing on why you want this outcome to be the case, and then focusing again on the things you have to do to complete that, that's important. It's all the steps we do in the middle and that journey to the outcome that is super important to this entire process. It's not the outcome itself. And here's why that's the case. This stuff can change any day. At any point in time, you are allowed, you have permission to change these tasks, to change the milestones, change the grouping of things that need to happen, or change the goal. It is okay. I've said this before, but it is okay. You have permission. You don't need my permission, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. You need permission, and you have permission to change a goal up at any point in that 6-month period if it no longer applies. Either because you completed it, or more likely because you realize it's just not applicable to you anymore. And I think my audio might be a little too loud. I apologize. I'll turn this down a little bit. Let me know in the comments if this audio is too loud. You can change your goals at any time. If it's no longer applicable or if you don't feel the passion behind a goal being there anymore, then let it go. Let it go. It's a tool at the end of the day, and you need to be able to change those tools up whenever it makes sense for you. You should never make yourself feel guilty about doing that. There is no set standard for or some rule by some governing body that says, well, you change your goals. Those were set in stone and you got to do it. You don't. It's crap. You do what is right for you, and that means you can change it at any point in time that makes sense for you. And I know I'm being a little harsh about this, but I really want people to understand, all of you to understand, it is totally okay to change your goals if you need to. Evaluate that for yourself. Hold yourself accountable. Don't just keep changing it constantly for the fun of it. But reevaluate on a regular basis. Is this the right thing for me? Okay, so I've talked about your goal. I've talked about writing down a why. You have to know why you want this. Grouping next together all the various tasks, and you start to see which ones are grouped together, and that's really a milestone. The milestone is nothing more than a group of tasks that hits a particular mark. So as you're writing those tasks out, highlight them each, circle them, make a note, whatever you want to do. But in some way, group them together logically so you kind of know that these are generally this and these are generally this. I have 3 milestones written on this screen. It could be 5 milestones, it could be 15, it could be 2. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you've grouped things together so you generally know where you can put energy and kind of use these groupings as a way to plan out your time, which we'll get to in another video about how to plan time around this stuff and how to prioritize this time. Okay, last up in this. It is definitely not one of the most important pieces as far as like getting to your goal and completing it. It is important for a psychology perspective. You want to have some sort of thing that makes you, kind of reinforces why you want this, reinforces that why, and it's a reward. Give yourself a reward. That reward could be anything. You know, in my case, one of these rewards was being totally transparent. I love tattoos. You've seen them before. I love tattoos. My goal was, if I could lose 20 pounds, if I did end up losing 20 pounds and my knees didn't ache, I would get a tattoo on my stomach. Didn't have any tattoos on my stomach. I wanted one. So not only did I get a tattoo, but I got my first Star Wars tattoo. Made me super duper happy. I loved it. That was a hyper personal thing for me. It was also a little bit of money. Does it need to be expensive? No, God, no. It just needs to be something that is meaningful for you, that when you complete this goal, give yourself a reward. The reward, I am of the opinion that the reward isn't just a job well done. If you feed off of that, fantastic, then run with it. I will bet money that most people don't. Most people do at the end of the day. If you're really honest with yourself, getting something tangible does make you feel good. I say play into that. I don't mean go buy yourself a new car. If that's what you want, I mean, go ahead. But I mean, do something for yourself. Like, hey, in one of my goals, and as part of that goal, I actually gave myself rewards for the feeling better goal for each milestone that I completed because it was such an important thing to me. One of the milestones, the reward for completing the entire thing was that tattoo. So that took about a year, reiterating this goal a few times. I will say in the middle, though, milestones were like, I wanted a pair of, you've seen them before, and we're in them right now. I've got a pair of Under Armour like gym pants, but they're kind of like the tapered ones that are a little skinnier. I never thought I could wear that. I thought I would look terrible in something like that, or I just judged myself completely. But I'm like, they're like skinny. They're kind of skinny-ish a little bit. I never thought of myself as wearing something like that. It just felt so not me. I was like, damn it, I want to be able to do this. I want to tell myself I can feel comfortable. It was a $15 pair of pants. Cool. I hit one of my milestones. When I hit the weight, or actually it wasn't the weight loss, it was the drinking less beer. I wanted to drink less than I was normally drinking. When I finally hit that after about 6 months, I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy a pair of pants. I got them on sale for like $15. It wasn't much of anything, but it made me feel good because it was a physical manifestation or a physical representation of something that I completed. And every time I put them on, I reminded myself, I completed this. By doing the thing that I wanted, I got it done. This is a physical manifestation of that, and it made me really happy. You do what you think is necessary, but always give yourself some kind of reward that is not simply big thumbs up, great job, because you need to be able to remember it and keep yourself going. Now, if that's what you want, and people can have a different opinion here. If there's a psychology and you think it's reinforcing negative behavior, I would love to discuss that more. What I have found, though, in the practices I've done and this process I've done is having some kind of reward for yourself does help people get to that point. So associate a reward for yourself. Okay, that was a lot of information. I will definitely answer any questions or comments people have. You can reach out to me on social. I would love to talk about more of this. Just a quick recap before we wrap up this live for today. Creating your goals is as important as figuring out what the goals are and doing a process for them. Having a tool that you can write them down, whether it looks like this or something else, having a tool for yourself to do this is important because you need to have something that fits your process. Remember, though, it's also not important because what I'm showing you here is one way to do this. You find the way or adapt this to the way that makes the most sense for you. That's the important thing to remember here. Second only to, if you don't know why you want this goal, you will never, ever get there. So definitely think long and hard about why you want to accomplish something so that you believe in it and it's something that is meaningful for you and you can internalize it. All right. Well, that's kind of a wrap for my goals conversation today. This video will be up on YouTube permanently. I would love to have discussions about this, and I will happily spend more time talking about these details. It's something I'm really passionate about. My wife and I are going to do ours again here really soon, and I can't reinforce enough how much it's actually helped me. And then I will leave you with, and I mentioned it at the beginning, I'm going to be participating again in the LEDA challenge with Live Streaming Pros here starting in August. If that's something you'd be interested in too, because you want to do more video or get outside the box of what you've been living in for a while and just try something different, whether you end up doing live streaming or video creation at all, it doesn't matter. If you want to just push yourself a little bit outside of your own comfort zone, don't worry. It all happens within a private Facebook group. And they have some pretty strict rules about how people can interact with each other. So there's no negativity that's allowed. There's no shaming people. None of that is allowed. This is a safe space for people. It's so powerful and it helped me a ton. So I would definitely say if that's something you're interested in and you're ready to make some kind of pivot in your life or a career, this is a really good way to expose those inner workings for yourself and really start creating those spaces for inspiration so you can find that thing that really helps you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. It's Wednesday. Go enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you really soon. Have a great one.